The pace of change and innovation in today's ultra-competitive business environment requires constantly identifying and learning new technology trends. You touched on it earlier about some of the leading edge, I'll call it, technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, and others. How do you keep up with the trends and identify new ways to help your organization gain a competitive advantage?
Yeah, it's funny. I hear that a lot from my peers. Man, the pace is just incredible. Competition's fierce, and that's right. The pace does continue to accelerate. But really, that's nothing new. I mean, it's been accelerating for a long time. The competition is fierce, but again, it's nothing new. It's just kind of adapting to this new environment of what competition looks like today. And so what I guess where I come from on this is I kind of put on my engineering hat and say the real skill involved is looking at the signal to noise ratio, kind of separating out what's really salient and important and what's just hype. As my peers well know, there's a significant amount of hype that's baked into all the churn that's going on out there. And so the question is, well, how do you go about doing that? And I think that's really what's at the key to your question. And so I have really two things that I offer in that respect. The first is, it's people oriented. I spoke earlier about people with passionate curiosity about things. I think it's really important to surround yourself with those kinds of people because that's a force multiplier. It allows you to, be present and have expertise across a wider front. And they can help you to separate out, hey, I think this is really a trend or this is really a flyer as opposed to something that, is half-baked from a garage in Palo Alto. And so starting with that crew of people that have that curiosity, that naturally want to go off and learn it and understand it is a great place to start. But the second part of that is to recognize that many of the people that are able to do that sort of thing for you, maybe most of them, are not in IT. It used to be that apps and technology were kind of the exclusive domain of IT. People used to come on bended knee to the data center and ask for an application, and we would bestow upon them our great wisdom. Those days are gone. Apps are a reality. The people's technical competence is reasonable now, and so people bemoan the idea of shadow IT being out there. But I guess my second point is I think it's better to embrace and leverage and lead those kinds of resources and take advantage of them to bring ideas and help to separate some of that signal from noise. As the various news sources provide us all kinds of different ideas about things.
So critical to your role as the CIO is establishing the technology strategy and vision. That's very important, but also you got to get things done. How do you balance strategic goals with tactical initiatives? And maybe some examples use proof of concepts or things of that such.
Yeah, well, I guess at its root, strategy I believe is achieved through the implementation of aligned tactics. So maybe the secret sauce there is making sure that the tactics you're choosing are indeed aligned with at least one or maybe more strategies that we have. And so it kind of makes you go up the value chain a little bit to take a look at strategy and make sure that that IT is at the table to be a part of those conversations and understand where the business is coming from. Be able to position, okay, well, here's technology that is tactically in support of that business strategy. And I think if you make that connection, that things just naturally fall into place very, very nicely. And I guess I've always found it kind of an odd thing when people say, well, we have to align IT with the business, as if it's kind of a separate exercise. And to me, it's endemic. And that's one of the things that's so refreshing about Hillman is the fact that we spend so much time making sure that we understand and we're communicating. And IT is not a separate thing. Information technologies is a baked-in part of what we're doing as a business. And so as they're looking at what they want to accomplish and move forward in our next year, 2 years, 3 years, and beyond, it's only natural that we would consider, okay, well, what impact does that have on the systems? What kinds of things are we going to need that we don't have? And look for things that move the ball forward in as many of those strategic directions as possible. That's really part of the fun is looking for tactics that ring multiple bells, so that you can get the biggest bang for the buck. And I think, again, kind of back to that people theme, looking for people that are kind of top of their game, that really understand and embrace the strategy that we're doing, and that have the know-how about how to execute are the kinds of people that I'm looking for to try and bring into the organization. So, people that really are interested in applying their trade, so to speak, and take advantage of that knowledge as it applies to a strategic initiative. That's what's really fun to see all that come together.